All right, guys, next up, let's take a look at North Carolina versus Alabama. North Carolina coming in as the 1 seed at 29-7. Alabama coming in as the 4 seed at 23-11. North Carolina coming off a win over Michigan State, kind of struggled out of the gates. Michigan State jumped out to an early lead, borderline double-digit lead, but North Carolina weathered the storm, ends up handling the game by the end, winning comfortably. As for Alabama, all right, kind of struggled with Grand Canyon a little bit, but in the end, were too much for Grand Canyon. Now it was a pretty sloppy half from both teams, second half wise. Grand Canyon, though, just got completely out of control. Now, some credit to Alabama, that's probably some of them for that happening, but Grand Canyon got completely hero ballish in the second half, just going completely one-on-one, and they just neutralized Grant Foster completely. Let's look at Alabama's schedule a little bit here, led by Marcus Sears, obviously. Alabama, pretty tough non-conference, to be honest with you. Looking at tournament teams on the schedule, wins over Oregon, and then this stretch right here, pretty tough losses. Lost to Clemson, Purdue, Creighton, and Arizona, all 4 tournament teams that are still in the Sweet 16. So not a bad loss there at all. And then getting into conference play, wins over South Carolina, Mississippi State, 20-point loss to Tennessee, wins over Auburn, lost to Auburn, another one over Mississippi State, one over Texas A&M, which really gave Houston a run yesterday, one over Florida, loss versus Kentucky, another loss to Tennessee, a loss versus Florida, and then ultimately another loss pretty handily to Florida. So Alabama can be a little up and down this year. All right, they can seriously put up some points, but they can also give up some serious points as well. We saw that in the first round versus Charleston. Kind of dominated the game, but still gave up to close to 100 points. As for North Carolina, led by R.J. Davis and Armando Bacot, played a pretty tough non-con as well. Tournament teams, you've got a win over Tennessee. All right, Tennessee still in the tournament. You've got an 11-point loss to Uconn, which is obviously the number 1 overall seed. You've got a close loss to Kentucky, which got dipped in the first round. Win over Clemson, still in the tournament. Win over NC State, still in the tournament. Then, let's see, 2 wins over Duke, so they're going to have the season sweep of Duke unless they somehow play again. They've got a close loss to Clemson. Clemson, like I said, still in it. Duke is still in it as well. And then another win over NC State, and then ultimately a loss to NC State in the tournament. NC State still in the NCAA tournament as well, though. All right, matchup predictor-wise, it looks like Alabama is actually being predicted to win, or being picked more, 52% of the time. And then the spread, it looks like North Carolina is favored by 4.5. I think this is going to be a pretty solid game. Alabama, if they can get hot, can play with anybody in the country. Because the way Nate Oates runs his offense, they can get up and down the court, they can let it fly. Hence, in the first round, they scored 109 points. But if you look at that third down game against Florida, they gave up 102 points. So they can definitely give up some points as well if an offense can make them pay for that. And I think North Carolina can make them pay for that. All right, scored 85 points in the second round, scored 90 in the first round. North Carolina can play. Like, they've got enough ball players to make Alabama pay. And I think Alabama is really good. If they get hot from 3, they can play with North Carolina, no doubt. But I really question if they can match up with North Carolina 1 through 5. North Carolina is just pretty big and long throughout their lineup. And they're older too. All right, they're deep. I think North Carolina might be a little too much for Alabama. North Carolina's looked pretty good. Like I said, at the beginning they struggled against Michigan State, but ultimately kind of evened out by the end. So give me North Carolina here by more than 4.5. I think they're going to win this game pretty comfortably, between 5 and 15, somewhere in that range probably. They've looked pretty good to me, and Alabama I'm a little questionable on. Like I said, ceiling is way up here for Alabama. They can get hot at any time and play with anybody, but also if the shots aren't falling, they might struggle a little bit. So give me North Carolina pretty comfortably by about 5 to 15, probably more towards 15. But who do you think wins this game and why? Let me know down in the comment section. Make sure to like this video and subscribe.